want to share two short stories with you, and hopefully it helps to connect the dots with what all of our previous speakers have shared. Right? So I'm currently a personal trainer. I help as a wellness coach as well. Been in the industry for 18 years. When I first joined the industry 18 years ago, I was still a young boy. Yeah, still a young boy. Right? So I was very focused on building up lean muscles, aesthetics, because I want to look good. Right? I mean, when you're 20, 21, that's all that matters to us. So I honed my craft around physique building for my clients, for my PT clients. Right? And all this changed when I had the opportunity and privilege to train a couple, right? Uncle Walter and Auntie Lily. Uncle Walter and Auntie Lily are parents of a friend, right? Why do I say a privilege? Because I found myself learning so much to them just by speaking to them during the personal training, because they share so much about life's wisdom. It was Uncle Walter who actually needed the training, who needed to start exercise. Auntie Lily was just there as a support pillar, right? Just to motivate and encourage Uncle Walter, because Uncle Walter was slowly losing his mobility with age. It took a while for my friend to actually convince them to start exercising and start training. So one day when I was training with Uncle Walter at home, I mean, they're retired, so I would show up to the house and bring my persistent bands, lightweight dumbbells, and I'll be training them, teaching them how to exercise, how to do resistance training. So one day when Auntie Lily was in the kitchen, because that particular day Auntie Lily wasn't part of the training, she did not join in. So I asked Uncle Walter, actually I have yet to ask you what. I can sense your reluctance in training, but yet at the same time I sense that discipline that you have. So how does that add up? Right? It doesn't quite make sense. What made you decide to go ahead and allow me to go home, right, to train you? And what Uncle Walter shared with me changed my training philosophy from then on. Right? So Uncle Walter told me that there was one day he and Auntie Lily was driving to a petrol kiosk, right, to top up the gas tank, petrol tank. And after that is done, he then inched out a little further to make sure that the tires are all well inflated. Right? And it was at that point Auntie Lily got out of the car. Uncle Walter sat in the car waiting. Why? Because Uncle Walter couldn't do this. Auntie Lily would walk, pull out the hose, right? Get to the car tires, and then you have to unscrew the cap and pump air into the tires, right? Uncle Walter couldn't do it. He did not have the mobility to do this. And therefore, Auntie Lily had to get out under the hot sun, dirty her little fingers a little bit, unscrew, and then do the work and get back to the car. Uncle Walter said there and then it struck him that, hey, it should be my job. So that act of love prompted Uncle Walter to say, you know what, I better start exercising. I better start improving my mobility because I want my wife to be sitting in the car waiting while I do that bit for her. After that training session, I got back into my car and I sat there for quite a while thinking, hey, you know what? I told myself, that not everyone trains purely to look good. Not everyone is chasing after muscles because some of these things don't last. But the act of love was what really, really motivated me and made me realize that there is more than just looking good on the outside. Right? So my training philosophy changed from then on. I started, diving into rehab, pain management. A few months later, Auntie Lily and Uncle Walter said, hey, you know what, next we are going to China for a holiday. Right? They're retired. They had quite a bit of savings, so they could afford to do that. So they went on a holiday to China, and both of them love sightseeing. So they don't do your typical city tour, they don't do the shopping and stuff. So they will go out to the rural area away from the city. So they were up the mountains, and Auntie Lily had to answer nature's call. Right? And that was some 8 to 9 years ago now. Rural China, up in the mountains, there wasn't really well-built toilet like what we have in modern day Singapore, right? So it was purely made up of zinc sheets, right? As well as there's some cover, a makeshift door, and lo and behold, when Auntie Lily pushed the door open, all she saw was the hole dug in the ground. And Auntie Lily said, "At that time, Dex, I thought of you." Oh, Auntie, what do you mean? You don't want to take the time to think of me? That didn't sound quite right. What Auntie Lily meant was this: I know I could do it. I know I could get down to that level of squat and do what I needed to do. So did Uncle Walter. Right? Little things like that, activities that we do on a day-to-day basis so often, we don't think about it anymore, we take for granted. But for them, the ability to not have to hold their pace till they get down to the mountain was a game changer for them. Right? So that, again, made me very, very motivated in doing what I'm doing. So echoing on what Dr. Fadzil said about finding your motivation, your why, right? I currently have I specialize in senior fitness these days. I do a lot of rehab work and pain management. So I have this couple, Mr. and Mrs. Gui. Mr. Gui is 75 this year now. Mrs. Gui is, I think, 68. Right? Mr. Gui fell down 3 times and broke his shoulders 3 times. Right? I'm not too sure which started twice, but his shoulders were operated thrice, and each time a metal rod was inserted. Right? Mrs. Gui, Auntie Gui, oh my goodness. When I finally get to meet her, again they were encouraged by their daughter to start exercising. When I finally get to meet Mrs. Gui, right, Auntie Gui, I'm like, Auntie, I've heard from your daughter. I'm so thankful that you finally decided to do that, because Auntie had just been diagnosed with diabetes, other than high blood and high cholesterol. We all know what the sun cow, right? High blood didn't bother Auntie. Alright? High cholesterol didn't bother Auntie. It was when she was diagnosed with diabetes she realized, oh, this can get quite serious. Because I've heard things about amputation, I've heard things about going blind. So I asked Auntie, why? I mean, you were not afraid previously, so why now? Right? Auntie said, because my daughter's getting married. And I probed further, so what does that mean? I want to be a grandmother. I want to be around when my grandchildren are out. That was their why. That's Mr. and Mrs. Gui. I have another couple, friends, right? 2 ladies, friends, Delia and Mariana, all these true stories. In fact, this is Delia's 69th birthday today. Right? They've been training for 10 years. Well-to-do, retired. Their main goal in life is simple. I've worked so hard. Delia used to be sailing out in the sea, so she spent months and months out in the sea. Now she just wants to travel the world. She's leaving for New Zealand on Wednesday, so I'm not going to see her for 3 weeks. Right? Delia did a DEXA scan 2 years ago. A DEXA scan helps you to find out about your bone density. Alright? Delia, 69 this year, has the bone density of a 30-year-old. And she's very, very proud. Well, I mean, rightfully, because she spends so much time and effort training, doing resistance training. So my point is, they can do what they want to do, even though they can afford it, right? Because they won't have to worry about mobility, they won't have to worry about being dependent on someone else. Last but not least, right? This morning I just came from, I just met another of this client, Wee Kiang, alright? He's an NTU professor, alright? He's got 2 screws up in his lumbar spine. And all he wants to be able to continue doing is to enjoy his long walks with his wife without feeling any pain. My point is, echoing on Dr. Fadzil sharing, what is your why? Right? I am very, very passionate in training seniors, again, because like I said earlier, I get to learn a lot from them through our conversations about life, about their hardship, with their business and stuff. They teach me so much. And as much as I know I'm not God, I cannot add years to their lives. I cannot make them live longer. I cannot give them money because they're richer than me. But what I can do is add life to their years, so that they can move well without pain. Right? Last but not least, to wrap up, so I'm asking you all to think about your why. I'm going to share with you my why. I'm a father of 4. I've got 4 kids. My eldest is 10. My youngest is a pair of 4.5-year-old twins. I want to be there for them as they grow up. Simple. I want to be able to play with them because I've got 3 boys. I know boys these days, I don't know what to put in formula milk these days, but they're hyperactive, right? Always so much energy bouncing around. So I want to be able to play with them and engage with them and not sit by the pool or they just go and play. You all go. Right? I want to be there with them. June 23rd, 2022, I celebrated my 40th birthday. That was last year. I went on a staycation, brought the kids out, my mom came along, my sister came along, my dad chose to stay at home. Right? He prefers to be alone. He doesn't like sleeping outside other than his own bed. Right? Put it that way. Had lots of fun with the 4 kids and all. The next day we checked out, it was only a one-night stay. 24th June 2022, went back home. Right? Dropped the kids. No, but I left, dropped my mom, my sister first, then I dropped the kids, went back home. 3 hours later, a phone call came. I heard my sister over the phone and I knew that something was wrong. She said, "That's not responding." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's not responding. She's starting to cry. I'm like, "Okay, do what I need to do. If you want to do CPR, start doing now." And I rushed out. It was only about 10 minutes, right? Lo and behold, anyhow, cut long story short, he was motionless. There was blood all over his face. He died of a very, very bad stroke at age 69. And that was one day after my 40th birthday. Friends, it still hurts. He went too soon. He was only 69. Grandchildren are still young. But as much as I'm still very affected when I share this story, it strengthens my resolve in doing what I'm doing. Right? There is so much more we all can do together. I think we can all do better, and it's never ever too late to start. So, last but not least, I always speak to my friends and ask them, and a lot of my friends are also young parents, and a lot of them, "Oh yeah, I'm willing to die for my children." I'm glad. Parents love. Most of us who are parents here would agree. But the real question is, I hear you saying you're willing to die for them. The real question is, are you willing to live well for them? Let that sink in. Whatever live well to you means, but I guess it has probably got to do with exercise. And it starts from exercising. With that, thank you. And I think we can then move on to the next part of today's activity. Thank you very much.
Thanks,